Are any of you looking to grow your practice or your business and are wondering, how do I find these businesses that are out for sale? Today, I'm going to provide you with a couple of options that are unconventional about how to find that accounting, bookkeeping, or business that's out there that's for sale that might be right for you. Today's video is directed to those of you who are looking to either start or grow your accounting or bookkeeping practice, or even any business for that matter, and are wondering, where do I look for those gems that I might want to explore and possibly purchase to either grow my business or start my own business? So of course, the more conventional ways of doing this is to look for ads. So to look with in the papers and all that for businesses that are for sale. And for those, a lot of you, what you're probably going to be doing is just getting in contact with real estate agents that have businesses for sale. But there are other ways of seeking those out, because there's a lot of businesses and practices and bookkeeping practices that will want to put their practice out for sale, but they're afraid of doing so for fear that if they advertise that they're for sale, that they will lose their client base. So a lot of these nicer practices are often not even showing up as being for sale anywhere. So how do you seek those out? So I'm going to give you a few examples of where you can look and where we've found some really nice gems in building our practices and buying other practices out. One of the strategies that I think is really important is just to meet a lot of people. And the more people you talk to and you let know that you're looking, the better. Speaking specifically, for example, for those of you who are looking for an accounting practice or a bookkeeping practice, what I would probably start with is maybe just even talk to your association. So if you're a CPA and you're looking to buy another CPA practice, talk to the association, because there's a lot of people who might want to put their practice out for sale. They're not too keen on letting people know, but they will let the association know that they would like to sell their practice. So that would be the first place. The second place, just talk to people. People know people, so the more people know that you're looking, the better the chances are of it coming back to you and people phoning you up and says, hey, I just spoke to Joe, and Joe is apparently seriously considering selling his practice. So that's definitely one way of doing it. Something that's worked fairly well for us, believe it or not, is whenever I attended seminars. So first of all, I made every effort to attend as many seminars as I could. And part of the reasons, believe it or not, is just for an opportunity to meet other accountants and bookkeepers. And so what I would do is whenever I'd attend one of those seminars, rather than sit with people that I know, I'd find a spot that was next to someone who had white hair or no hair. Because they are more likely to be considering the possibility of selling their practice. So oftentimes I would sit next to these people, we'd get talking about our practices, and I would just throw at them, says, so any chances of you retiring in the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years? What was really interesting is oftentimes they would say, well, I'm not thinking of selling, but I suppose if somebody came up with an offer, I would consider it. Well, now the door is open, right? So, and for a lot of these people, and it's happened to me more than once, is where I would say, would you be possibly interested in talking about selling their practice? And they would say, no, I plan on doing this for another 5, 10 years. And then a few weeks later, they'd call me up and ask me, are you serious about possibly buying me out? And what tends to happen sometimes is you planting the seed will have them go back home and then start to think, well, maybe if I had an opportunity to sell, I would consider it. And I can see that discussion happening with their spouses, and they're suddenly realizing that maybe now is a good time to get out. Something that they would not have otherwise considered if I had not brought it up to them. So this is something, again, don't be afraid of just asking a lot of people about the possibility of them selling their practice. And you might be surprised as to what might come out of that. And finally, I kind of alluded to that, but find every opportunity that you can to attend functions where those business people will hang out. So a perfect example of that is if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, well, you want to maybe present yourself in gatherings where they're going to be there, people who are in practice. So a perfect example of that would be the conference that we're going to have in Canmore, where all the people there are going to be in practice, and odds are pretty good that there's going to be a few people there that the reason they're there is they're finding out how to best sell their practice. Well, if you're looking at buying a practice, what better place than to show up at a place where there might be practitioners wanting to sell? So those conferences that are geared up for practice management would probably be one of the best ways for you to meet such people to possibly buy another practice. And the same would apply with a business. So if you're looking at buying a business, look for those conferences where the subject matter might be about how to increase the value of your business, because those are the people who are probably considering selling it. So I think you got to put yourself in a situation where you can meet those people, and don't be afraid of talking to those strangers that you think, based on their age, might be more interested in selling. And don't wait for them to put the sign out that they're for sale to let them know that you're interested. So before we go to the last few tips that I want to share with you, if you could like and subscribe to the video. And now we're going to go to a couple of quick tips. So one of the things that I found quite fruitful in finding practitioners that are for sale or businesses is just look for those smaller lone wolves that I call them. So especially if you're looking for an accounting or bookkeeping practice, there are several practitioners out there who are operating alone or with just one employee or so, because those are probably the people that you're probably going to have better success in purchasing their business than the larger ones for whatever reason. Because the larger practices will often have people inside willing to buy their business out. But the lone wolves, they're dependent on people like you coming along to buy them out. And one last little tip before you make a purchase: run it by someone else who has experience in purchasing a practice. And the reason I say that is because what I've noticed, and I've noticed this many times, is that practitioners will come across a business or a practice that they find to be okay, but the emotions get the better of them. And now they're so excited about the possibility of buying this business or this practice that they lose sense of the proper thinking required to make the proper purchase. So before you make the purchase, make sure you have someone who's unbiased, who is not in the dogfight, let's just say, to provide you with some advice on whether or not it's a good idea to buy this practice or not, and preferably with someone who has experience with buying these practices to give you some tips on how to do so, and someone who is not emotionally attached to the decision.